I think I'm the MC. My name is Tony Tong from Hong Kong Blockchain Association. 我是唐仪，香港区块链协会的共同创办人之一。那么我今天是做这个论坛的这个MC 主持人。So I'm just introducing myself, and this is the Rise Week. So thank you for coming over to Hong Kong. And 我们这个礼拜是香港可能最繁忙的一个礼拜，对于很多互联网创业企业和这个区块链企业，一个礼拜都是连续不同的活动。那么我们昨天在Madison Wine 我们也做了一个这个香港区块链协会的一个聚会。那么那个以太坊的教父Ethereum Godfather 还有那个比特币的那个女王他们都来了。对 ，OK。So 陈总要我讲英文 ，OK， 好，I'll speak in English. So yeah, this is a very busy week. Rise, welcome all our friends coming from all over the world. And so first of all, I'm going to just have each of you to give a very brief introduction of yourselves, what you do, what your company is all about, and then we're going to go into the Q&A session. Okay? Should we start with the ladies first? The lady.
Sure. Hi, I'm Pei. So I'm the CEO of Token Foundry, which is the spoke of ConsenSys. So we're the business advisory arm of ConsenSys Capital, and we help blockchain projects to launch their tokens through the ways of helping them improve their mechanism and help them form the right partnerships, as well as raise the right, connect with the right strategic partners to leading up to their token sale. So at Token Foundry, I'm mainly responsible for the global strategy and the business operations strategy, as well as the team building. Prior to Token Foundry and ConsenSys, I spent 7 years at Goldman Sachs building their operations across US and Europe. I also was part of the strategy group, leading a group of technologists and business architects in building out very strategic solutions for the fixed income securities division. So very happy to be here with you guys.
Well, thank you. Alex?
Yes. My name is Alex Leverington, and I was one of the original Ethereum developers. I began working on Ethereum shortly after Vitalik released the white paper. And I helped design and develop its peer-to-peer network, and since then have been active in developing blockchain communities or advising companies. I'm now have started a technology company in Hong Kong called Entropy Labs, and we are working on a couple of products which we'll be releasing soon. I would also like to thank the organizers of the event for the invitation, as well as, of course, the translator who does an excellent job.
Thank you. So Jay, last week there was an excellent event in Taipei, the Asia Blockchain Alliance.
Thank you, Tony. And thank you, Mr. Chen Ping. Wonderful event here, too. Of course, we've been quite active in Hong Kong blockchain community since a few whiles ago. But myself was from what we call the classic investment background, like most of you here in the audience. However, we were used to invest in mining, the real mining, oil and gas, potash, coal mining, and many other things like that. But we also invest in high-tech companies. So last a few years, we found that the high-tech companies transformed their fundraising from traditional equity raising to the token raising. Just like Mr. Chen Ping said, they have to be securities. So in a way, the equity was transformed into token, and ourselves somehow got into the blockchain community here by chance. We do have the belief that in the future, blockchain is going to be the major trend, not only in the securitization process of the company, but also in changing the web, internet, and many other communication methods in our life. So we try to build up a specialized fund into this area as well. Thanks to many of our supporters, some of them sitting down here, like Mr. Gao Feng. We have Mr. Gao also from the investment banking community, but his journey has a vision for the future. And well, I just speak, that's kind of my introduction there. Well, a little bit more. This is a bit for so-called Greater China concept. I was born in Chongqing and went to Beijing for school, and of course spent nearly 20 years in US. Now I'm married with, I'm married into a Taiwanese family, but working in Hong Kong full-time. So, we have this ABA, and also last week we built up this 两岸区块链联盟 cross-strait blockchain alliance. Hope all of you can join us to help on this. Please.
Well, great. I was there in Taiwan last week, so that was really excellent event. CZ from Binance, also the Litecoin founder, Charlie Lee, some of the key speakers. But come back to Hong Kong here. Alex, you mentioned you're one of the really earlier participants in the Ethereum, right? And last night we had also a speaker, Yanislav, right? The so-called the godfather of Ethereum. So he said he was there also in the early days. But anyway, I'd like to hear from you. When did you start with Ethereum, and what was it like in the really early days? I remember even Ether price was really below sort of ICO price, really low, and now is becoming a global phenomenon. So what is it like to go through this process from the early days?
I don't know. Shizi, I pronounce it wrong. It's crazy. I think that several global technologies have converged at the same time when we were developing Ethereum. Early on, there was kind of a small group of crypto anarchists and a small group of Wall Street, former Wall Street people, and some guys from London and somebody from Germany, and just this random group of people that all connected on the internet. And then they started. What
year was this?
I think so. This would. Oh man, such a blur.
2013?
Yeah, probably like early 2014, I believe, just after 2013. Yeah. And so I was mostly participating through Skype online because I was at home and I couldn't, fly around everywhere. Did
you write part of the Ethereum code?
Yes, I made several contributions. Yeah.
Great. Did you get rich from the rising price in Ether? Do you still hold a lot?
Well, opportunity cost, I've probably lost 10 times more what I've gained, but yes, I can choose to do what I wish and try and continue developing software. To answer your question, yes.
Okay, great. It's really good to hear someone that started with the Ethereum infrastructure even back in 2013 and 14, and it's very great that we have two guys from really the early stage of Ethereum that's coming to Hong Kong these couple days. And my next question, actually, this is our topic today is about the blockchain projects, USA versus Asia, China, Hong Kong. So of course, all this Bitcoin and Ethereum started in the US primarily. So maybe Ms. Pei and Ms. Chen, maybe you can tell us, what was your first involvement in blockchain, and how did you get involved with the Token Foundry?
So, I mean, it's not like such a long story. I think maybe like 2 years ago, I was already managing a lot of technical projects at the bank I was working for. I was sent to all kinds of technology conferences and I can't avoid the word blockchain. So, out of curiosity, I just started looking into it and started reading a lot about it and start networking. And eventually that led to my quitting of my previous job and about a year ago. So I think I've always been fascinated about technology and how you can build on top of an operating systems like Ethereum. So ConsenSys was one of the first few companies that I looked at, and I thought maybe that would be one of the good opportunities to, you know, to kind of get myself in the door and learn about the ecosystem. And I had the honor to meet some of the really senior people at the company back then, and which led me to meeting Harrison at Token Foundry. We had a great chat for a few hours, and that led to some other meetings. So here I am. But I would say this, that I think Ethereum is a very unique blockchain community where everyone's quite open-minded and very embracive. And I like the idea of dApps on top of Ethereum as well.
Since you're both coming from the US, or Jay, you too, can you tell us what are some of the latest regulations in the US, especially from the SEC? I heard that they deem any token, whether utility or security, the SEC still deemed it as security tokens. Can you tell us what's the latest status on the regulation side of this ICOs and tokens?
So I don't think everything has been deemed as security tokens. I'm actually a big fan of utility tokens. So, like me and Chen will have to talk about the trend and how we have to agree to disagree. That all the tokens going to be security tokens. In my view, I think there are distinctive differences between utility tokens and security tokens based on the design, based on the mechanism underneath it. So back to answer your question about what's going on with the regulatory environment in US, well, we work with this spoke within ConsenSys. It's called the Brooklyn Project, and we conduct a lot of SEC meetings through them. So we have been looped in for the latest information and where they stand in terms of security tokens, and I think we're making a strong case for ourselves by launching the very next project called Foam, where it's definitely a utility token, and we're going to prove the use by asking all the token purchasers to prove the use. And we have a series of ways to do that. And we would first have them pass assessment test, and also within the first 12 months of owning the tokens, we're going to ask them to prove their use by staking at least like a certain percentage of the tokens, whether it's through using the network, whether it be posting a point on a map. Anyway, so the point is we wanted to make sure the owners of the tokens are actually using the tokens to empower the network instead of just for investment. And obviously we can talk more about, it hasn't come to a conclusion, right? SEC hasn't come out and said everything is security tokens, but they actually did come out and said Ethereum is not securities. So that was a very positive sign and a very encouraging signal for us to move forward and continue to build out the utility token network that we would like to see and to survive in the long term.
Just a couple of months ago, I was in New York attending a conference. I met a project, Praetorian, I think. They claim to be the first ICO that's filing through the SEC with S1 registration. So Jay, you've done a lot of IPOs in the past. And in the past, when you do IPOs on the US SEC, you file S1. Now, is it that way that if you want to do an ICO in the US, you have to go through the SEC, you have to file S1 or Red D or Red S, whatever. Is that the new process?
Well, in the U.S., you have to file S1 or F1 if it's a foreign company. I think you have done that before.
But this is ICO we're talking about. We're not
yes,
talking about IPO.
When we talk about ICO, I think ICO has revolutionized a few things. Number one, it's revolutionized the business service provider and the consumers. They are in the same ecosystem. Everybody will contribute their works, and they will gain from that mining process or so-called service providing process. Number two, it's also decentralized the whole service providing process, including decentralized the owner of the equity of the company, which is providing the service. It's part of the, we call the securitization process. In the future, the coin holders will become the equity holders. So in a way, ICO will sooner or later replace IPO, and the coin holders will become the equity holders. Well, before going that way, since we are limited by time, I also like to tell a bit background about myself on blockchain studies. Well, in 2013, it's almost 5 or 6 years ago, we started the first blockchain seminar. But we didn't talk about coins. We didn't talk about tokenization of equity. What we did was trying to transform the voting system in Taipei or transform the voting system in other areas in Europe, including the one in Spain. Last year they had the independence or breaking away separation voting there, using the blockchain technology as the foundation for voting system. So on this side of Pacific, we usually focus more on technology, on the foundation of blockchain system, rather than tokenization. However, without tokenization, I think the system is going to be very dry and very boring, and not many people participating. And plus, for the early stage companies, we do hope they would have the tokenization process. So the investors like us, we don't have to spend 10 years or 7 years there without knowing the result. We would have liquidity along the way. So in the future, forget about SEC, sorry about that. We still respect SFT, but we don't respect about the SEC in the US.
Yeah. So I'm kind of hoping that the SEC conversations will lead to better software for managing their expectations. I used to write accounting software for oil and gas, and you know what's interesting about Ethereum is we named the token Ether, and it converts to gas. And gas is really interesting because you can package it up and invest or sell or utilize it in many, many different ways. And so I think with whether it's the security or not is going to depend on a lot of things.
Actually, before we run out of time, just one last question for you, because you are one of the earlier involved in the Ethereum. Of course, Ethereum ERC20 allows so many ICOs to happen. Everyone who does ICO need to thank you for your contribution. But a lot of people are also complaining that it's bogging down in terms of performance. And there's the third generation, blockchain, even fourth, fifth generation, claiming that they're going to totally disrupt or replace Ethereum. What is your thought on that, and how is Ethereum going to improve in terms of performance?
I think that a lot of great people are working on those issues, and I see those being resolved. They must be resolved carefully. This isn't something that you can just jump out and add more servers to. However, I don't think it's going to slow down the expansion of the ecosystem or adoption of the technology, because Ethereum is something that you can build on top of, even if it's a little slow or a little expensive, because it's global and you can trust it. And this is something that we don't have with existing institutions yet. And as the existing institutions adopt these trusted code platforms, they're going to end up with the same thing. And then by that time, we can scale and we can connect across the networks. And then, like, it's not going to be a big change. Nobody's going to notice it. But in the background, it will disrupt itself. So I'm expecting that.
Okay. Well, thank you. I think we're running out of time. Thank you again. Let's give a great round of applause to our great speakers, Ms. Pei Chen, Token Foundry, Alex Leverington, and Jay Liang. Thank you.